if you're looking for a shortcut to being well-informed about how the biggest brands talk to you, you've definitely come to the right place.
Mm.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into the massive world of mass communications, how these huge global companies choreograph their advertising, their events, their promotions, and PR, all to win your attention in a media landscape that is, well, frankly, exhausted.
That really is the core challenge right now, isn't it? We live in an information environment that's not just fragmented across, hundreds of channels. It's incredibly cluttered within each one.
Right.
So our mission today is to unpack the 4 key pillars of mass communications. That's advertising, sales promotion, events and experiences, and public relations, and show you the integrated blueprint that the masters, like P&G, use to cut through all that noise.
And to show just how critical that integration is, let's start with something surprising. Old media still matters.
Oh, a lot.
But maybe only if it's used as a match to light a massive digital fire.
And there is no better example of that kind of brand transformation than Old Spice. Before 2010, this brand was, it was truly struggling. It was synonymous with nostalgia. Literally, it was your father's aftershave.
I remember that smell.
We all do. And they faced this marketing dilemma of being a beloved but totally irrelevant legacy product. They knew they needed a complete brand makeover, a huge shift into a contemporary fragrance and body wash brand for a younger demographic.
What's so fascinating here is that they didn't just abandon traditional mass media. In fact, they doubled down on it for their big relaunch.
They did.
The whole transformation began with a single 30-second spot during the 2010 Super Bowl. That is the absolute pinnacle of expensive traditional broadcast advertising.
And that was the strategic decision, to use the biggest possible stage. The ad featured Isaiah Mustafa, the ex-NFL player, who we now all know as the man your man could smell like.
Right.
But what made that spot so strategic wasn't just who they were talking to, but who they were talking through.
They realized that while men use the product, it's often women who are buying it for them.
Exactly. So the ad was subtly and then, pretty overtly aimed directly at women. Mustafa, standing there in the shower, speaking right to the female consumer, it shifted the entire purchase dynamic.
And the ad itself was just a masterpiece of creative execution.
Oh, it was brilliant. Filmed in one seamless take, transitioning instantly from a shower to a boat to a horse, all while Mustafa has that, that confident tongue-in-cheek swagger. But the genius, like you said, was how they used that Super Bowl spot as a launch pad.
A launch pad for digital engagement. So tell us about the digital fallout. The Super Bowl spot itself was seen by tens of millions live, but that was just the start.
Precisely. The moment the ad finished broadcasting, it was uploaded to YouTube and promoted heavily across all their social channels. This led to over 10 million additional views in just a few weeks.
So they basically doubled their initial audience reach.
At no extra cost for airtime. And then they made the conversation personal. They launched a web application called My Perpetual Love, where Mustafa could send virtual love notes from men to their partners.
So it positioned the brand as aspirational. If you use Old Spice, you might be a little more like him.
It was pure integration. The traditional mass media spot created the awareness and the desire, and then the digital channels provided the conversation, the novelty, the personalization.
So the Super Bowl ad was the spark.
The spark that ignited a massive, multi-platform, sustained conversation that, frankly, revitalized a brand that was nearly dead. It's a perfect encapsulation of the integrated model.
It really is. It shows that the tools we're about to discuss, advertising, promotions, events, PR, they aren't separate silos. They have to work together.
Absolutely.
So let's unpack the cornerstone of this structure. Advertising and the process marketers use to manage it. We often think of advertising as, just a TV spot or a magazine page. But the core definition is surprisingly simple. It's any paid, non-personal form of presentation and promotion of ideas, goods, or services by an identified sponsor.
And even with all the digital distraction we face, good, focused advertising still pays off handsomely.
It really does.
It remains the most cost-effective way to get messages out there widely, whether the goal is pure education or creating a really deep-seated brand preference. We see this all the time with category leaders. For instance, P&G has enjoyed double-digit sales gains from major product lines like Olay Definity and Head & Shoulders.
Driven directly by ad campaigns that just talk about how well the products work.
Exactly. But doing it right is complex. You can't just throw money at the problem. Marketers need a structured approach. And that structure is what we call the 5 mins.
The 5 mins.
That's the fundamental sequential decision process. Every major ad campaign has to address these 5 core areas, and in order: mission, money, message, media, and measurement.
So it forces marketing managers to be systematic, to make sure the plan flows logically from the brand's core strategy.
Hmm.
Let's focus on that first M mission. Before we even talk about budgets or channels, we have to define the objective. What are the core objectives that drive these, incredibly expensive decisions?
Well, the mission is all about defining the goal based on where the consumer is right now in that awareness to purchase funnel. The source material breaks this down into 4 main goals, and they align perfectly with the classic hierarchy of effects model.
Moving the customer from just knowing you exist all the way through to sustained loyalty.
That's the path. The first one is the simplest: informative advertising. This is pure awareness and knowledge creation.
So this is for new products or new features where people just don't know the thing exists yet.
It's critical in those situations. If consumers don't know your solution exists, you can't possibly persuade them to buy it. It's step 1.
Can you give us a really concrete example of a huge success in informative advertising?
Absolutely. Think about General Motors promoting its OnStar service. When it launched, the idea of a subscription service linked directly to your car for safety and emergencies was, well, it was revolutionary and kind of abstract.
A bit hard to grasp.
Right. So starting in 2002, GM launched this massive Real Stories campaign.
Oh, I remember those. They used actual subscriber stories across every channel, TV, radio, print to demonstrate the real-world value.
And the objective was purely knowledge and awareness. And it worked beyond all expectation. By 2005, OnStar had reached 100% awareness among new vehicle shoppers.
100%. That means every single potential buyer knew what it was.
Every single one. That kind of market penetration is a huge return on investment for purely informative advertising. It's remarkable.
It really is. Okay, so once the consumer is informed, the next objective is usually persuasive advertising. Now we're asking them to take a step.
Correct. Persuasive advertising moves beyond simple knowledge and aims for higher goals: liking, preference, conviction, and then the eventual purchase. This is where you're actively trying to shift opinions and loyalty away from your competitors.
And this includes one of the most aggressive forms, comparative advertising.
It does. Comparative advertising is when you explicitly compare the attributes of 2 or more brands. It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy.
Why high risk?
Well, if you do it poorly, it can look aggressive or even desperate. But when you do it well, you can directly steal market share.
Like the classic beer wars example.
Exactly. Miller Lite successfully took market share from Bud Light just by running campaigns pointing out that Bud Light had a higher carbohydrate count. It used a simple, rational metric carbs to persuade health-conscious consumers to prefer their beer. It works best when you can hit both a rational fact and an emotional motivation.
Okay, moving on, we have reminder advertising. This goal feels like it's more about maintenance, not growth.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's about stimulating repeat purchases and just keeping the brand top of mind. You see this most often with established, frequently bought items where brand awareness is already near 100%.
Like those glossy, expensive 4-color Coca-Cola ads in magazines. They aren't trying to tell us about the formula or convince us to switch from Pepsi.
No, they're just beautifully designed ads meant to maintain brand salience. They keep Coke in your short-term memory, ensuring that when you reach for a drink at the store, that red logo is the one that springs instantly to mind.
And finally, the fourth one, reinforcement advertising. This one is often overlooked, but it's critical, especially for big purchases where buyer's remorse can be a real thing.
Reinforcement advertising is designed specifically to convince current purchasers that they made the right choice. Think about ads for expensive cars or even major appliances that show happy, satisfied customers using all the new features.
It validates their expensive decision, reduces that post-purchase anxiety.
And it builds long-term loyalty and positive word of mouth. It's a subtle nod. Welcome to the club. We know you chose wisely.
That's smart. The key takeaway for you, the listener, seems to be that the objective, whether it's to inform, persuade, remind, or reinforce, has to come from a deep, honest analysis of the market and where your customer is at. You can't measure success if you haven't defined the mission.
You absolutely cannot. And that analysis brings us cleanly to the second M, money. Understanding the objective is step 1, but the brutal reality of mass media is cost. So how do we square that lofty objective with the, often enormous price tag?
Advertising is a massive expenditure. And while it's technically treated as a current expense on the balance sheet, a huge part of it is really an investment in building brand equity and customer loyalty that can last for years.
And that pressure is immense. So, how much should a company spend? There's no simple formula, but the source material identifies 5 critical factors that really dominate those budgeting decisions.
Let's analyze these because they explain why some brands spend so much while others seem so frugal. First up, the stage in the product life cycle, or PLC.
This one's pretty intuitive. If you're launching a new product, you have to invest heavily in awareness and trial. Massive budgets are necessary.
But for established brands,
For established brands, once you measure their ad spend as a ratio to sales, they typically need a lot less spending to just maintain their position. They've already done the heavy lifting.
okay, second factor, market share and consumer base. This one sounds a little counterintuitive at first.
It does. High market share brands often need less spending as a percentage of sales to maintain that share. Their volume just naturally covers more of the marketing cost. But if you're trying to build share, especially against a huge leader, you have to significantly outspend them to shift those established habits.
Which requires a budget that's disproportionate to your current sales.
Exactly. Third, and maybe the most brutal factor, competition and clutter.
You can't escape this one in the modern world.
No. If you're in a crowded market with lots of competitors and heavy ad spending, think soft drinks, financial services, cell networks, you have to advertise more heavily just to be heard above the general noise.
The fourth is advertising frequency. This is purely mathematical, but essential for budgeting.
Right. The required frequency, the number of times you need to repeat your message to the target consumer, directly impacts the budget. A complex message or a product that people forget about quickly demands higher frequency and a bigger budget.
And fifth, this one's fascinating, product substitutability. This is about commodity-like products.
Products that are inherently less differentiated. Things like generic beer, airlines, banks, bottled water. They require extremely heavy advertising.
Because the core product is basically the same.
Precisely. So the marketer has to invest heavily to establish a unique, differentiated image and personality purely through marketing, just to stand out from being a commodity.
Okay, so once the budget is set, we move to the third M message. Marketers are always searching for that elusive big idea that connects both rationally and emotionally.
And that idea needs to be profound, unique, and flexible enough to work across different media, markets, and time periods. It needs a fresh insight, avoiding the same tired positions everyone else is using.
Let's look at one of the best examples of a counterintuitive message. The Got Milk campaign. They didn't focus on why milk was good for you,
No, they focused on the pain of not having it.
which was a huge pivot.
It was. This campaign was launched in 1993 by the California Milk Processor Board because, well, they were failing. Milk consumption in California had been declining for 20 straight years. The standard milk is good for your bones message just wasn't working.
So the agency's research was the key.
The key. They realized consumers already knew milk was good for them and they already liked it. The core problem wasn't a lack of desire, but a lack of presence at that critical moment.
The moment you have a warm chocolate chip cookie and no milk to go with it.
That exact moment of pain. So the campaign pivoted to focusing on milk deprivation. The simple tagline, "Got milk," was a genius piece of cultural shorthand. Instantly relatable.
And the result was transformative. Sales volume increased over 1% in the first year, halting that 2-decade decline. It was so successful it was licensed nationally.
It just proves that a great message is often found by researching the consumer's pain point, not just the product's benefit.
That campaign shows the power of a focused, well-researched message. But today, sometimes the message generation process skips the agency altogether and goes to crowdsourcing.
Consumer-generated advertising. The ultimate risk-reward gambit.
The reward is high, for sure. Brands like Converse, with their brand democracy campaign, use consumer-created films and won major awards. Doritos does it every year for the Super Bowl.
And H.J. Heinz's Top This TV challenge for ketchup got 6,000 submissions and 10 million online views, leading to a sales rise of over 13%. But the risks are just as massive.
As demonstrated by the spectacular failure of Kraft's Vegemite Ice Snack 2.0.
Oof. That one is painful to recall.
They introduced a new flavor, put Name Me on the jars, and got 48,000 entries. The name they chose, Ice Snack 2.0, was not well received.
The consumer rebellion was immediate and devastating. The name was ridiculed universally. Sales plummeted almost overnight. They had to pull the jars and retreat to a conventional name. Cheesy butt.
The lesson is profound. When you crowdsource, you give up control. And the public's desire for irony might clash violently with your brand's identity.
Mm-hmm.
So once the message is locked down, we move to creative execution. The fourth M, media, how the message is delivered. Let's start with television, which is still the most powerful medium globally.
TV's dominance comes from combining sight, sound, and motion. It allows for vivid demonstrations and dramatic portrayals that really help define a brand's personality. The reach is immense, and the cost per exposure is actually low despite the huge upfront cost.
But the weaknesses are huge too. The ad is fleeting, the clutter is staggering, and the cost of production and airtime is just astronomical.
Which means the creative has to be powerful enough to cut through all that noise. And the Aflac Duck campaign is a stellar example of creativity overcoming clutter in a really boring category like supplemental insurance.
Aflac was a nobody. They had only 13% name recognition.
And an insurance is necessary, but, boring. They needed something radical to get attention.
So they launched a campaign with an angry duck that just squawks the company's name, Aflac.
That, absolutely. If the picture doesn't stop the reader, the headline won't be read. If the headline isn't engaging, the copy is completely lost.
And the managerial reality is sobering. Less than half the audience will even notice an outstanding ad, and fewer than 10% will read most of the body copy.
Which means every single element of a print ad has to be incredibly efficient, surgical in its precision.
That focus on image and efficiency is exactly what Absolute Vodka mastered. They carved out a brand image for a pure commodity product.
Vodka is almost entirely seen as interchangeable, yet Absolute achieved astonishing brand preference based almost entirely on image. When they entered the U.S. in 1979, they sold 7,000 cases. By 1991, they dominated the imported vodka market.
And the strategy was brilliantly focused. It centered entirely on their distinctive, clear, apothecary-style bottle.
That bottle was the centerpiece of 15,000 different ad executions over 25 years. Each ad cleverly juxtaposed a punning caption against a stylized image of the bottle, Absolute Texas, Absolute 19th. They created a visual expectation. It demonstrates the enduring power of disciplined, highly creative image advertising.
Finally, let's turn to radio ads. Often overlooked, but incredibly pervasive.
It is pervasive. 93% of U.S. citizens age 12 and older listen daily. Stations are highly targeted, production costs are low, and it's particularly effective during commutes.
The disadvantage is obvious. No visuals, and it's passive. But some brands use that audio-only medium brilliantly. Motel 6 is the perfect example of a brand revival driven almost entirely by simple, effective radio campaigns.
Motel 6 was struggling badly in 1986. They launched humorous 60-second radio ads featuring the folksy writer Tom Bodett and the tagline that became a cultural touchstone: "We'll leave the light on for you."
That campaign managed to convey warmth, affordability, and reliability purely through sound and personality. It was named one of the top 100 ad campaigns of the 20th century.
And it's directly credited with revitalizing the brand. It proves that a memorable voice and tagline can trigger visual imagery in the listener's mind just as effectively as a TV spot.
Before we move on, we have to touch on the critical social and legal tightrope every advertiser walks.
The requirement for truthfulness. To break through clutter, some ads push boundaries, but marketers have to avoid false claims, false demonstrations, and deception.
And the legal standard is quite high. Ads can't even have the capacity to deceive, even if no one's actually deceived.
Right, and the legal battle between Splenda and Equal is a perfect illustration of how marketing can blur that line and create a market reality even before the legal reality catches up.
Splenda's tagline was, "Made from sugar, so it tastes like sugar." McNeil, the manufacturer, argued this was factual because they start with pure cane sugar.
But the maker of Equal claimed this tagline was deliberately fostering the perception that Splenda was not an artificial sweetener, capitalizing on public reluctance towards chemicals like aspartame.
And what's fascinating and was cited in court is that internal documents from McNeil's own files showed that cultivating exactly that perception was one of the biggest triumphs of their campaign.
And it was devastatingly effective. Splenda captured 60% of the market share based on that messaging.
So even though McNeil eventually settled the lawsuit for a substantial amount and changed the ad copy,
the damage was done. The perception that Splenda was somehow cleaner or more natural had already been entrenched in the consumer's mind. It just highlights that for mass communication, perception is reality, even if it's legally challenged later on.
Okay, so once the budget is finalized and the message is approved, the advertiser moves to media selection. The fourth M, media, where the message meets the market. The core task here is finding the most cost-effective way to deliver exposures to the target audience.
And this is all quantified using reach, frequency, and impact RFI.
The fundamental concepts.
The fundamentals of media planning. So reach, R, is the number of different people or households exposed to your ad schedule at least once in a certain time period. Frequency, F, is the average number of times a person is exposed to the message during that period.
And impact, I, is the qualitative value of that exposure. A dog food ad in a premium pet magazine has a much higher impact than the same ad in a general news weekly.
Exactly. And these concepts give us critical metrics. Total exposures, E, is just reach multiplied by frequency, RSF, which is also known as gross rating points, or GRP.
So if a schedule reaches 80% of the audience with an average frequency of 3, the GRP is 240.
Right. And then if you factor in the quality, you get weighted exposures, WE, which is RXFXI. The strategic application of RFI is what separates average campaigns from excellent ones.
So where do marketers place their priority? Reach or frequency?
Well, reach is critical when you're launching new products, flanker brands, or things people buy infrequently. You need maximum coverage. Everyone needs to know you exist.
But frequency is essential in high-clutter environments, or when you have strong competitors, or a complex story to tell.
Right. You need constant repetition to overcome the forgetting rate, but that repetition needs variety to prevent consumer fatigue.
And that need for high frequency with fresh executions is exactly what Jai Ico mastered in the insurance space.
They absolutely did. They've consistently spent hundreds of millions on advertising, which their CEO, Warren Buffett, sees as a mandatory investment. And their revenue quadrupled over a decade.
And they did this by maintaining multiple award-winning campaigns at the same time. You've got the Cockney-speaking gecko, the So Easy a Caveman Can Use It spots, and the Rhetorical Questions campaign.
By running these three concurrently and constantly rotating the executions, they dominate the TV airwaves without becoming stale. They achieve high frequency with high quality, varied execution. It's a strategic application of R and F that leads to market leadership.
Moving beyond RFI, the planner needs to select specific media vehicles by calculating the cost per thousand, or CPM. This is where the budget gets surgically refined.
CPM is the cost to reach 1,000 people in your target audience using a specific vehicle. So, for example, a 4-color ad in Sports Illustrated might cost $11.20 per 1,000 readers, while Time magazine is $11.90. But you can't just stop at the raw dollar amount.
Right, because the managerial takeaway isn't just the lower cost, it's the quality of the eyeball you're buying.
Absolutely. First, you adjust for audience quality. A baby lotion ad in a magazine read only by young mothers has a much higher exposure value.
Second, audience attention probability.
Yeah.
This is about engagement.
Right. Readers of a specialized magazine like Vogue or Car and Driver are probably paying much more attention to the ads than readers of a general news weekly.
Third, adjust for the medium's editorial quality. Credibility matters.
It matters a lot. Consumers are 5 times more likely to believe an ad and feel positive toward a brand when it's placed in a program or publication they already like and trust.
And fourth, consider ad placement policies and extra services.
Some media vehicles offer guarantees or added services like better placement or enhanced digital metrics that increase their effective value even if the raw CPM is slightly higher.
Okay, so once the vehicles are selected, the planner has to address media timing. We have 2 layers here, macro scheduling and micro scheduling.
Macro scheduling is the big picture, aligning spending with seasons or business cycles. Microscheduling is allocating the budget within a short period, like 1 month.
And there are a few key patterns for that.
4 main patterns. Continuity means exposures are spread evenly, which is great for frequently purchased items. Concentration is a single major burst of advertising, best for seasonal products.
And then there's flighting.
Which involves intense periods of advertising followed by periods of complete silence. This is often necessary when funding is limited. And finally, pulsing is the hybrid, low-level, continuous advertising reinforced by waves of heavier activity.
It's a compromise strategy. Finally, we have to discuss the most dynamic shift in media today. Alternate advertising options, or place advertising. This is about reaching people where they work, play, and shop.
It's a huge shift. This includes highly creative and unconventional forms designed to grab attention in public spaces, capitalizing on the fact that we're all spending less time passively watching TV at home.
Billboards have been completely transformed by technology.
They have digital graphics, backlighting, 3D images, and the effectiveness can be localized and immediate. Look at Chang Soda in Bangkok. They could only afford one digital billboard, but they maximize its impact by building a giant bubbling bottle illustration onto the sign.
And the word-of-mouth buzz was so powerful it quintupled their sales.
From 200,000 to 1 million bottles. A huge return from a single creative placement.
And then there are public spaces. Ads in movie theaters, fitness clubs, and, wait, ads in toilet stalls. I can't believe the data supports 4 minutes of viewing time in there.
It sounds absurd, but the data is clear. Research suggests office workers visit stalls 3 to 4 times a day for roughly 4 minutes per visit. It's a highly captive audience. It's the definition of place advertising, finding that captive moment.
Another key method is product placement, where marketers pay huge fees for their products to make cameos in films and TV.
And sometimes this is integrated directly into the script. The Staples in the Office deal is the corporate masterclass in this.
Oh, that was brilliant.
When Staples introduced the Mailmate Shredder, they did a 2-episode deal, and the writers actually accommodated the marketing objectives into the storyline.
They put the shredder on Kevin Malone's desk to show it was small. They had him shred a credit card to show it was sturdy. And the character Dwight Schrute even temporarily took a job at Staples.
It integrated the advertising objectives directly into the show's narrative. Genius.
And we can't overlook point-of-purchase, POP, advertising, which is maybe the most crucial form of place advertising.
Because 74% of final brand decisions happen right there in the store aisle.
POP is everything from ads on shopping carts to display cases. And the pioneer in sophisticated in-store advertising is the Walmart Smart Network.
The Smart Network monitors and controls over 27,000 screens in 2,700 stores, reaching 160 million viewers every 4 weeks.
And the numbers back it up. By linking ad time to immediate sales data, Walmart estimates sales increases from these ads range from 7% in electronics to a huge 28% in health and beauty.
It confirms POP as a high-impact, measurable channel that closes the loop right at the cash register.
Lastly, we have to discuss advergaming and alternate reality games, ARGs.
Capitalizing on the massive, often elusive gaming audience, 97% of teens and over 50% of adults.
An ARG can be expensive, but it generates incredible engagement. McDonald's used this beautifully as a sponsor of the 2008 Beijing Olympics.
They created a global, multilingual ARG called The Lost Ring, centered on a fictional amnesiac athlete. The game started discreetly, with cryptic packages sent to 50 gaming bloggers.
And the organic spread was phenomenal. Almost 3 million people in over 100 countries played the game. It generated massive, sustained brand engagement and won a Grand Prize Buzz Award.
It just shows how creative, non-traditional channels can achieve a deep connection where static ads often fail. So if advertising offers the reason to buy the long-term brand narrative, then sales promotion offers the crucial incentive to buy. These are the short-term tools designed to stimulate a quicker or greater purchase.
So sales promotion is all about immediate results, often attracting brand switchers who are looking for a deal rather than building long-term equity. But the rapid growth of promotions has created a serious problem: clutter and brand devaluation.
The clutter problem is really clear in the coupon data. Coupon redemption peaked in 1992 at nearly $8 billion, but it dropped to $2.6 billion by 2008. Consumers are just tuning it out.
Overwhelmed by too many offers. And the risk of devaluation is critical. If a brand, like in the auto industry with its constant rebates and 0% financing, trains consumers to buy only on deal,
The core brand image is diluted, and price sensitivity increases dramatically. It's a real tightrope walk for marketers. Studies show that only 16% of over 1,000 promotions actually paid off in a meaningful way beyond that short-term spike.
So how do you distinguish good, strategic promotion from just bad, desperate discounting?
This is where we distinguish between different promotion tools. We look at whether the tools are consumer franchise building CFB or not.
CFB tools, what does that mean?
It means they actually impart a selling message along with the deal. So this includes things like free samples, frequency programs, or coupons that have specific messaging that reinforces the product's quality.
So sampling, for instance. Consumers genuinely value it, and if the product quality is high, think of sampling programs at McDonald's or Starbucks. It leads directly to higher long-term sales.
Exactly. On the other hand, non-CFB tools are simple price-off packs or contests. They offer a purely temporary incentive without enhancing the brand's core selling proposition.
Okay, so beyond consumer tools, manufacturers use trade promotion tools to incentivize wholesalers and retailers.
Yes, things like price-off deals, allowances for advertising, and free goods given to retailers based on volume. But trade promotion is the most complicated area to manage.
Why is that?
It's rife with challenges. It's hard to police retailers to make sure they follow through. And there are two massive problems: forward buying and diverting.
Forward buying.
That's when a retailer buys excess inventory during a deal period, stocking up way beyond their current needs, which forces the manufacturer to overschedule production and lose control of their inventory.
And diverting.
That's when retailers buy surplus product in a deal region, say Texas, and then ship it to their stores in a non-deal region like New York, where they can make a higher margin. It completely bypasses the manufacturer's control and pricing structure.
Sounds like a logistical and administrative nightmare.
It is. However, sales promotion can be brand building when it's clever and integrated, which brings us to Kraft's highly successful Oreo Double Stuff promotion.
Oh, this was a great one. This award-winning program leveraged the universal human truth of sibling rivalry. They used NFL quarterback brothers Peyton and Eli Manning in a teaser launch.
And then revealed that the classic split-and-lick Oreo ritual was becoming a professional sport, the Double Stuff Racing League, or DSLR.
This campaign worked because it tied the incentive, the prizes, the sweepstakes, directly to the product ritual, making the consumption moment a game.
And the promotion was integrated everywhere. The Mannings were on 15 million Oreo packages, there were sweepstakes for a trip, an instant win game online.
And then they followed up with tennis stars Serena and Venus Williams, capitalizing on that ultimate sibling rivalry theme.
It created genuine, playful engagement that reinforced the unique way consumers interact with the product. And that's the key metric for success here. The goal isn't just the initial sales spike, but whether the promotion attracted competitors' customers who then stayed loyal. That sticky loyalty is the true measure of a brand-building promotion.
We've covered paid media advertising and incentivized media sales promotion. Now we shift to the experiential and earned media, starting with events and experiences. And this market is just gigantic.
Massive. And it's growing because it allows brands to become part of personally relevant live moments in consumers' lives, which a static ad just struggles to do. North America alone projected $17.1 billion in sponsorships for 2010, with almost 70% going to sports.
And companies are also creating packaged environments or atmospheres to reinforce certain feelings.
Exactly. Think about a high-end law office using dark oriental rugs and oak furniture to subliminally communicate stability and success. Or a five-star hotel using marble columns to signal luxury and permanence.
Brands are building these experiences directly into product launches. The GE Profile Mega Event is a perfect example.
This was pure spectacle designed to generate maximum buzz for their new front-load washer-dryer. To showcase its massive detergent capacity, they hung 800 feet of jeans and shirts representing 6 months of washing on a colossal clothesline right in Times Square.
That's a visual.
They coupled that with 20-foot-high inflatable versions of the machine, a celebrity auction, and a giveaway contest that attracted 150,000 entrants. It was experiential marketing at a massive scale.
So what are the core objectives for brands when they spend this enormous amount of money on sponsorships and events?
There are 4 key objectives. First, to identify with a specific target market or lifestyle. Old Spice sponsors college sports to target and sample among 16 to 24-year-old males. It links the brand to their passion points.
Second, to increase the salience of the company or product name tier awareness reinforcement.
Third, and this is critical, to reinforce perceptions of key brand image associations. Toyota Tundra sponsored BASS fishing tournaments and a country music tour specifically to toughen its image and appeal to America's heartland consumers.
And the fourth objective is to create experiences and evoke feelings. This is maybe the most intangible, but also the most powerful.
Look at Audi's sponsorship in Iron Man 2. Audi models were featured prominently as the main character's car, because the movie was a massive blockbuster and linked the brand to an exhilarating aspirational experience. Positive word of mouth for Audi doubled immediately after the movie's release.
When measuring sponsorship success, marketers use 2 methods: supply side and demand side. How do they differ?
Supply side measurement is easier but less meaningful. It focuses on potential exposure, estimating how much media coverage was generated, how long the logo was visible on TV, and calculating the equivalent cost if that had been a paid ad spot.
But that just measures exposure, not a strategically designed emotional message.
Precisely. That's why the demand-side method is more relevant. It focuses on consumer brand knowledge using pre- and post-event surveys to measure recall of the event and the resulting attitudes and intentions toward the sponsor. Did the event actually change how people felt about the Tundra trick? That's what really matters.
Now, let's transition to the final, and often most cost-effective pillar, public relations, PR. This is fundamentally about promoting or protecting a company's image and managing relationships with its various publics.
PR departments perform 5 main functions: press relations, product publicity, corporate communications, lobbying, and counseling. But the marketing side, marketing public relations, MPR, is where the focus really is now for product support.
And MPR goes way beyond just securing editorial space. It actively supports product, promotion, and image making. And the power of MPR lies in its credibility.
This is the critical insight. Consumers are 5 times more likely to be influenced by editorial copy, that is, free publicity generated by PR, than by paid advertising. That third-party validation is priceless.
So MPR can be highly cost-effective and significantly more credible.
Massively so. It's used to launch new products, reposition mature products like the classic I Love New York campaign, and defend products in a crisis, which major brands like Tylenol, Toyota, and BP have had to do publicly.
And because it's so cost-effective and credible, it's increasingly being used to build awareness. We have 2 excellent case studies demonstrating incredible MPR efficiency.
Let's start with the Man Lives in IKEA campaign. This sounds like performance art, not marketing.
Wait, he lived in the store? For a week?
He did. It was a masterclass in earned media. IKEA allowed comedian Mark Malkoff to literally live in an apartment inside their Paramus, New Jersey store for a week with 24-hour access, and the budget was tiny, only $13,500.
The message was brilliant and simple. IKEA has everything you need to live and make a home.
And the results were staggering for that low cost. 15 million website hits, 382 million positive media impressions, including coverage on CNN and the Associated Press. The Paramus story even saw a 5.5% sales increase.
Wow. It proved that a genuinely newsworthy, clever event can generate media impact worth millions in equivalent advertising without buying the space.
And the second case is Dreyer's Ice Cream, which used its heritage and timing to create highly relevant PR.
They leveraged the 80th anniversary of their Rocky Road flavor, which was created during the Great Depression. Recognizing the parallel, tough economic times of the Great Recession, they launched a limited edition called Red, White, and No More Blues,
framing it as a Taste of Recovery campaign. The flavor combined vanilla with strawberry and blueberry swirls, linking it visually to the patriotic theme. They ran a contest asking for videos about personal dreams, which drew 14,000 entries.
So it was personal and aspirational.
And the campaign generated 46 million media impressions, and crucially, sales of that special edition ice cream increased over 25% from the prior year. It perfectly shows how NPR can build awareness and generate real sales by strategically linking brand heritage to the current social context.
Measuring NPR is notoriously challenging since it's used alongside other tools. The easiest measure is just the number of exposures, the clippings book.
But that's unsatisfying because it ignores the qualitative difference between paid and earned media. A better measure tracks the change in product awareness, comprehension, or attitude resulting from the campaign. With PR, the goal is often reach and impact rather than just frequency.
Okay, we've analyzed the 4 pillars: advertising, promotion, events, and PR. To wrap up, let's look at 2 global giants who demonstrate the mastery of integrating all these tools to maintain marketing excellence year after year.
We have to start with Coca-Cola. This is a brand worth $68 billion, and its name is the second most understood word globally, second only to OK.
That kind of status requires absolute consistency in communication.
And Coke's philosophy has always been centered on connecting emotionally and socially with the masses, ensuring the product is within arm's length of desire.
Their strategy relies on massive global reach through events and sponsorships. They sponsored the Olympics since 1928, advertised during the Super Bowl, and spend over $1 billion annually on global sports sponsorships.
And their operational efficiency is impressive. In 2006, they ran multiple fragmented World Cup campaigns. By 2010, they mandated a single campaign for the same event in over 100 markets,
which maintained a globally relevant message while saving the company over $45 million in efficiencies. However, even the masters make mistakes. And the major failure cited for Coca-Cola was the 1985 New Coke launch.
A colossal failure. They introduced a sweeter formula based on blind taste tests, and consumers instantly rejected it, demanding the original Bactat Bunk, which they eventually relaunched as Coca-Cola Classic.
The communication was fine, The failure was rooted in a profound misunderstanding of brand loyalty.
Exactly. The failure wasn't due to poor advertising or PR. It was a failure to measure the deep and abiding emotional attachment consumers had to the original formula. No amount of consumer research on taste preference could capture that.
Our second example of marketing excellence is Gillette, which has dominated the shaving market since 1901.
Gillette holds a commanding 70% global market share and generates $7.5 billion in annual sales. This dominance is driven by continuous innovation matched by consistent, heavy communication.
Their strategy relies on one global aspirational message, like the best a man can get, or their more recent campaign, The Moment, which focuses on helping men gain confidence. And this is consistently backed by heavy sports marketing.
Their sponsorship history is incredibly deep. They've sponsored Major League Baseball since 1939. Their relationship with the NFL is comprehensive. Their four major products, Gillette, Old Spice, Head & Shoulders, and Febreze, are all official locker room products of the NFL.
So Gillette demonstrates how matching superior product innovation with a consistent, heavily reinforced marketing message across multiple integrated channels can maintain market dominance even in a seemingly simple category.
And in synthesis, what these masters show us is that cutting through modern clutter requires two absolute necessities: investment in high-quality creative messages, whether it's a traditional TV campaign like Dyko's or a highly experiential PR stunt like the IKEA Living Event. The ability to integrate all four tools is the definition of excellence in mass communications.
We've successfully decoded the 5 M's of advertising, analyzed the risks and rewards of sales promotion, detailed the objectives of experiential marketing, and shown the incredible cost-effectiveness and credibility of powerful PR.
The sheer volume of media available today makes message quality and strategic integration paramount. You can't rely on reach alone anymore. Frequency and impact driven by creativity are essential to fighting that consumer forgetting rate.
So here's a provocative thought for you to consider, tying back to that incredible credibility gap we discussed. We noted that consumers are 5 times more likely to be influenced by editorial copy, that's free publicity from PR, than by paid advertising. Given that powerful credibility advantage, how should companies strategically decide the ratio of their budget between paying for guaranteed ad space and investing in highly newsworthy, creative events designed specifically to earn that invaluable free publicity?
It's the ultimate trade-off between control and credibility, and it's something every chief marketing officer has to struggle with in the digital age.
This is a deep dive for another day. Thank you for joining us. We hope you feel far more informed on how the biggest brands structure their communication to reach you.
Until next time.